Okay, for today's project, we are going to make this super cute, slightly creepy black cat under the full moon, kind of Halloween-y-ish card. So we're going to need a few things for this. Um, First thing we're going to need is a piece of paper. Now I've got a card paper here. You don't necessarily have to have a card paper, but if you want it to be an actual card, then you do need to have a paper that you can, fold in half. All right. Next thing you're going to need is a pencil. Oh, it's just, plain old super simple pencil. Just make sure you have an eraser that works, or if you're like me and you mess up a lot, get yourself a giant eraser. I like my clicky one. It clicks, clickety, click, 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 click. And we're going to need a black ink pen. Now you can use a ballpoint pen or any kind of pen as long as it's basically black ink. I personally like to use this Precision VS type of pen. Now I know, super fancy dancy, things not real expensive, but it is generally a little bit more expensive than your average ballpoint pen. I like to use these when I'm not working with plain liquid ink. So those are good. And then again, you're going to want something that you can blend with, a finger, Q-tips, whatever you've got, whatever can work. Paper towel also works, cotton ball also works. Just something that you can blend some of that pencil marking with. All right. So this is going to be in the landscape position. So along this side, up and down, while the shortest sides are side to side, so that you can open it that way. And first thing, we're going to grab our pencil and we are just going to do a little outline of a creepy tree. Now, what makes a tree creepy? Angles. Angles, angles, angles. Make sure you get some awkward, sharp, pokey angles so that it looks uncomfortable. It looks creepy. So make sure you get those angles in there and just kind of sketch that tree in. We're going to do it kind of like a U shape at the top here. And then we're going to add on a couple more branches sticking out here and there. Now your tree doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Just, make sure you're doing a little bit of angles, some sharp points that stick out here and there. Next, we're going to do a little bit of horizon line and just put a little sweep right across the bottom. And we're going to create our moon. Okay? So do a quick, almost full circle that goes all the way from one point of the page to the other. So one point of the horizon point to the other. And now we're going to add a second creepy tree right over here. Again, with the angles and the kind of awkward points sticking out, making sure that they have sharpness. We're going to also want to make sure that it also goes over that moon. Now we're going to add our cute little cat here. Now it's just a kind of a little tall, almost a U shape here, upside down U. I guess that would be an N. And then we've got a circle with two little points on it, and that is our simple cat shape. That's pretty much it as far as the sketching goes. So now what we're going to do is we're going to want to do a quick little filler on the background to give ourselves a nice dark shade where the night sky is, and just kind of sketch that in, sketchy, 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 sketchy with our pencil. Fill in that color. And you don't have to do a whole lot. And once you're satisfied with it, grab your blendy tool and start blending in those pencils. And you know what? I'm actually really not liking how this Q-tip is working. So I'm gonna use something else. Let's see what I got here. Ooh, I got a paper towel. Yeah, awesome. So I'm gonna just use this paper towel and wrap it around my finger and use that because it gives me a little bit more surface that I can blend with, and it makes it just a little bit easier. So I'm gonna use that. See, ooh, super nice. Just kind of go everywhere where the moon is not. Now for the fun part. Grab that handy dandy black pen of yours, and we are just going to start outlining pretty much everything that we did in pencil with our black pen. Woohoo, super fun. So now is the time where you can get really fun and creative with the shape of your tree. If you want to add a couple of extra branches, if you want to go ahead and make those branches a little bit thicker here, make some branches over here, maybe a little bit thinner, have them go off at different angles, add a couple extra here and there. Just give it kind of an awkward, fun shape. And, you can do this however you like. Again, it doesn't have to look like mine. Your art is your art, and you get to create it however you want to. That's the beautiful thing about art. But give it some variety in the size and the shape of these branches. Make some a little bit thicker, make some a little bit smaller, some thinner. Now we're going to go over and do tree number 2 over here. Going to follow those lines on. Make sure we go ahead and just get into that moon space so we have a nice contrast between the bright moon and the dark, creepy tree in the background. Bring that up. And let it kind of have like these awkward angles in there and these sharp lines. You really like the sharp lines here. Now, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and outline the moon right now. And so we outline this moon. And let's see, I'm not quite sure if I really like where the moon lines up with that tree, but that's all right. Let's go ahead and move on to the cat. Let's fill in our cat completely. Let's draw it in that little head and draw in those ears. Now, for this cat, because it's sitting down, we're going to want to make sure that the back has a nice rounded arch to it, while the front is just a straight line. That gives us a nice arched back cat. And we're going to go ahead and add a little triangle to the front of that cat head so that it kind of looks like the cat is facing towards us or looking over its shoulder at us. Give us a nice profile view of the cat here and just fill in that cat completely. Now's the fun part. We're going to go ahead and just fill in everything that is not the sky and is not the moon. And you can do this with scribbly marks. You can do this with crotch hatching, with regular hatching, with however you want to do it. You can even get a marker and color it in completely. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. So just take your time and start having fun filling in those blank spaces. If you do go outside of the lines, just go ahead and just change that line a little bit to incorporate it, because this is art, and art, there are no mistakes, but no mistakes whatsoever. Make sure you go ahead and add a little bit of quick lines that come up from the horizon line here to give it a little bit of a appearance of grasses, overgrown grasses here. Now I do also want to add a second tree over here because I like that. I think that first tree was just not enough, so I'm adding in a second tree. And we're also going to add a couple of round and triangular and kind of bloppy shapes here to show that there are leaves, just to give it a little bit more depth. Some thick lines, some thin lines, some thick lines, some thin lines. Now I've gotten this part of the video sped up because it can take a minute to go ahead and get all this filled in. And so feel free to pause the video while you finish up that part. Okay, next thing we're going to do now that you're all done with that is you're just going to do a quick little smudge test to make sure that your ink is set and you're not going to mess anything up. Then you're going to grab your handy dandy eraser and you're going to erase everything inside that moon so it's nice and bright and white. Gives us a nice glowing moon. Brush it off with your little paper towel here. All right, and you know what? I really am not liking how that moon lines up right there with the tree. So we're going to finagle it. We're just going to add a couple of little dots and lines, just short lines. Dot, dot, line, 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 just short little lines to kind of give it a glowy moon radiant effect. So this will also do us the benefit of changing the shape of the moon so it's not right up against that tree. So we're going to go from there and we're going to add those lines short as they are right near the moon and then a little bit longer as they go further away from the moon. I'm just going to keep on adding those lines and we're going to cover the entire sky with these fun little lines. It gives us a little bit more of a depth to our sky, a little bit more texture and pattern to our sky. Now, when the further away lines are a little bit bigger, just kind of scribbly more lines. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to give a nice contrast to that sky by just shading it a bit. So grab your handy dandy pencil and we're going to go ahead and do some shade. Now if you're happy with the way your picture looks like without it, feel free to stop at this point or just grab your pencil and put as much or as little shade that you want on this background. I personally like it a little bit darker because I think it gives it a nice contrast between the moon and the sky. You've got the texture, you've got these dark trees and this cat. It really makes it pop. And then when you're done with that, just grab your blender and just blend that in so it makes it all even all over the place. If you missed a space like I did right over here, go ahead and grab it with your pencil. Fill it in, make it a little bit darker if you want to. All right, blendy blend, and look at that. This beautiful, creepy, cute cat sitting in front of the moon and kind of makes it look like an eyeball staring right back at you. Now, last but not least, sign your name because you want to make sure everyone knows this wonderful piece of art was made by you. And if you get a chance, take a picture, post this on the Instagram, and give me a tag because I would love to see what you've done.